Let's get right into it. Number 1. Just stay positive. Yes, the golden child of toxic advice. Stay positive. Just sprinkle some good vibes on your chronic stress and emotional burnout, and boom, instant mental health, right? Wrong. This little gem of advice sounds nice on a coffee mug, but in the real world, forcing yourself to always look on the bright side is like slapping a smiley face sticker on a leaking gas tank. It doesn't fix anything, and eventually, it explodes in your face. Here's the problem. When you pretend everything's fine all the time, your brain doesn't get to process actual emotions. That sadness? Suppressed. That anger? Bottled. That existential dread over your life choices? Shoved under a mountain of fake gratitude journaling. And guess what? All those feelings still exist. They just get stored in your nervous system like emotional debt with compounding interest. This is called toxic positivity, and it's not just annoying, it's harmful. When you're constantly told to stay positive, you're subtly taught that negative emotions are bad, which trains your brain to feel guilty for ever being sad or overwhelmed. Now you're not only sad, you're ashamed of being sad. Great. Double sadness combo. Psychologists say real emotional resilience comes from letting yourself feel the uncomfortable stuff and working through it, not burying it under a motivational quote from your aunt's Facebook wall. So the next time someone chirps, just stay positive at you. Try responding with, "I'd rather be emotionally honest than a human smiley face." Bonus points if you do it while holding a burning affirmation journal. Number 2. Cut out toxic people. This advice sounds fierce and empowering, until you realize that your brain can't actually function like a courtroom judge with perfect objectivity. Because here's the twist. We're all a little toxic sometimes. Yup, even you with your soy candles and emotional boundaries. Of course, there are people who are objectively abusive, manipulative, or energy-sucking dementors, and yes, you should absolutely escape those situations. But in pop psychology land, toxic has become code for anyone who disagrees with me, or makes me feel mildly uncomfortable. You had one awkward conversation with your mom? Toxic. Your friend canceled plans twice? Energy vampire. Your boss gave you feedback? Gaslighting. See the problem? This blanket advice teaches you to treat every relationship like a disposable Amazon order. If it's not perfect, toss it. And over time, that turns into emotional isolation, zero conflict tolerance, and, let's be honest, a pretty inflated sense of moral superiority. Healthy relationships involve disagreement. They involve repair. They involve people growing together, not ghosting each other for minor personality flaws. So no, you shouldn't tolerate real abuse. But maybe don't torch every bridge just because your roommate chews too loud and once said your astrology sign was emotionally intense. That's not toxic. That's called being around other humans. Number 3. Fake it till you make it. Congratulations, you've entered the mental health Hunger Games, where the solution to imposter syndrome is acting more like an imposter. The idea here is that if you pretend to be confident long enough, eventually you'll become confident. Like some kind of psychological cosplay where if you just keep lying to yourself, the truth will change to match the lie. And sometimes, yeah, acting confident can help you take risks or build new habits. But here's what no one tells you. Your brain knows you're faking. And the more you fake it, the wider the gap becomes between who you are and who you think you're supposed to be. That gap? That's where anxiety thrives. That's where imposter syndrome curls up in a blanket and starts redecorating. You start feeling like any success you achieve isn't real. It's just the result of good acting. You become hyper-aware of every flaw, convinced that everyone else knows what they're doing, while you're secretly a fraud in a business casual costume. And then the spiral. Am I confident yet? Was that smile convincing? Did I seem like a leader when I said, "Circle back 3 times in the meeting"? Instead of faking it, try building actual self-efficacy. Take risks, make mistakes, and learn. Confidence isn't about pretending to be bulletproof. It's about knowing you can survive being hit. Basically, don't fake it till you make it. Learn it, earn it, trip over it, survive it. That's the real flex. Number 4. Be your own therapist. This one's popular in the land of 2 a.m. TikTok self-diagnoses and /$9 mental health planners that come with glitter pens and unlicensed advice. Yes, it's important to learn about your brain and your patterns. Yes, self-reflection is healthy. But let's be clear, you are not your own therapist. You're a person with trauma, a YouTube habit, and maybe a cat. You are biased, emotionally entangled, and deeply invested in your own nonsense. Trying to untangle your mental health with no outside perspective is like trying to read the label from inside the jar. Blurry, backwards, and covered in peanut butter. Also, self-help culture loves to frame therapy as a last resort. Like you should exhaust every free meditation app and podcast first before admitting defeat. That's not empowerment. That's stigma with extra steps. Therapists aren't just advice machines. They're trained to spot your blind spots, patterns, and that one time you said, "It's fine," with a weird twitch in your left eye. They can help you challenge beliefs you don't even know you have. So by all means, journal, meditate, do your introspective Pinterest boards. But if your brain feels like a tangled slinky soaked in regret and caffeine, maybe call someone with a license and a couch. Number 5. Follow your passion. The classic career advice that has launched 1,000 panic attacks. Follow your passion sounds like the kind of thing a yoga instructor whispers to you while selling handmade crystals. But in reality, it's a mental health trap disguised as inspiration. Here's the brutal truth. Most people don't have a clear, burning passion. And even if you do, turning it into your job might just kill it faster than you can say, tax season. This advice assumes your passion is a perfect, profitable unicorn that will effortlessly lead you to fulfillment and six-figure influencer deals. In reality, it's more like trying to train a raccoon to do your taxes. Chaotic, confusing, and occasionally bites you. Worse, it sets up this weird guilt spiral for people who aren't sure what they're meant to do. You start questioning if your life has meaning because you don't wake up craving watercolor or performance art. Or maybe you do love something, but once it's tied to rent money, the joy evaporates like a sad latte. Psychologists actually warn that this passion mindset makes people less satisfied in the long term. Why? Because it trains your brain to expect instant purpose. And when things get hard, and they always do, you assume you picked the wrong passion, so you start over. And over. And over. A better approach? The craftsman mindset. Focus on building skills, doing useful work, and letting passion grow after you gain mastery. It's less sexy, but way more sustainable. So maybe don't quit your job to start a passion-based Etsy candle empire just yet. Unless those candles are scented like crippling pressure to monetize joy, in which case, I'd probably buy one. Number 6. Don't let anyone affect your mood. Sure, in theory, this sounds like emotional enlightenment. You become this unbothered Zen master, floating through chaos while everyone else is crying in group chats and rage texting their exes. But let's be honest. You're a human, not a marble statue in a temple of detachment. This advice tells you that other people shouldn't affect your emotions. And if they do, you're somehow emotionally weak or unhealed. But that's not how brains work. Our moods are shaped by the people around us. It's called emotional contagion, and it's as real as your uncle's conspiracy theories. Ever walk into a room where two people just had a fight, and suddenly you feel like you need to apologize for something? That's emotional contagion. Your brain picks up on social cues, body language, and tone, because humans are wired for connection and survival. If other people didn't affect us, we'd be sociopaths, or CEOs. Trying to force yourself to be totally unaffected by others doesn't make you strong. It makes you disconnected. It teaches you to suppress empathy, avoid vulnerability, and pretend your feelings are like Wi-Fi, completely password protected. Instead, the real skill is emotional regulation. Not pretending you're unbothered, but knowing what to do with your feelings when they show up. You can be impacted without being controlled. You can feel things without spiraling into a Taylor Swift album. So yes, people affect your mood. That's not weakness. That's being alive. Number 7. Sleep when you're dead. Cool slogan for a hustle bro tank top. Terrible strategy for existing as a functioning human being. This delightful piece of burnout propaganda teaches you that rest is for the lazy, And that true success means grinding 18 hours a day until your blood is 80% Red Bull and self-loathing. And sure, this might work briefly, like if you're being chased by wolves or cramming for an exam powered by anxiety and iced coffee. But long-term, lack of sleep doesn't make you productive. It makes you delusional. Sleep is not optional. It's the literal factory reset for your brain. It consolidates memory, balances your hormones, and clears out toxic waste from your neurons, like some kind of microscopic cleaning crew with tiny mops. Sleep deprivation, on the other hand, turns your brain into a confused toddler on a sugar crash. Your focus tanks. Your decision-making gets worse. Your emotions go full drama queen. Studies show that chronic sleep loss even mimics the symptoms of anxiety and depression. So no, skipping sleep doesn't make you hardcore. It makes you moody, forgetful, and statistically more likely to cry in a Walgreens. If your productivity plan involves destroying the one system that makes productivity possible, congratulations, you've been scammed by grind culture. So yeah, maybe sleep before you're dead. Your brain will thank you, possibly by finally remembering where you put your keys. Number 8. You have the same 24 hours. Technically true. Also completely useless. Yes, everyone has the same number of hours in a day, but that's where the similarities end. What this advice ignores is that people start with wildly different levels of time, energy, privilege, and access to literally everything. You can't compare your day to a billionaire's day. One of you has a personal chef and an assistant. The other has student debt, 2 jobs, and a mysterious skin rash from stress and cheap detergent. This kind of advice sounds empowering on the surface, but it's actually just shame disguised as motivation. It tells you that if you're not running a business, doing yoga, cooking organic meals, and monetizing your hobbies, then it's your own fault. You wasted your precious, magical 24 hours. It erases things like burnout, trauma, ADHD, chronic illness, caregiving, financial pressure, and acts like every hour is a clean, perfect building block. Spoiler, it's not. Some hours are for crying in the bathroom at work. Some are for surviving. And that's okay. Want to make better use of your time? Start by accepting that not every hour will be productive. Respect your energy, not just your schedule. Rest is not wasted time. Neither is healing. Neither is existing as a fallible human with dishes in the sink. So next time someone says, you have the same 24 hours, feel free to reply, yes, and I've spent 3 of them not slapping you. That's time management, baby. Number 9. Cut out negativity. You've probably heard this one paired with a pastel Instagram quote. If it doesn't spark joy, throw it out. Which, great advice for decluttering your sock drawer, not so great when applied to the entire human experience. Cutting out negativity sounds wise, until you realize that negativity is kind of necessary for survival. Like, the reason you don't walk into traffic or hug bears is because your brain has a healthy negativity bias that's kept your species alive since we were hiding from saber-toothed tigers. But in today's world, this advice gets twisted into, never feel anything unpleasant ever. Got doubts? Be more grateful. Feeling anxious? Just raise your vibe. Your dog died? Well, at least Mercury's out of retrograde. Here's the thing. Negative emotions are data. They're warning signs. Sadness tells you something matters. Anger tells you something's unfair. Anxiety tells you something needs attention. Like that email you ignored for 3 weeks. When you cut out negativity entirely, you're not healing, you're numbing. And over time, that leads to what psychologists call emotional invalidation. You start gaslighting yourself, convincing your brain that valid reactions are just bad energy. Instead of cutting out negativity, try listening to it. What is it telling you? Is it asking for change, protection, rest? Emotional health isn't about being positive all the time. It's about being honest all the time. Also, fun fact, the happiest people, they accept negative emotions. They let them pass like a thunderstorm, not bottle them up in a mason jar labeled, no bad vibes. So yeah, maybe don't throw out all your negativity. Just don't let it redecorate your mental living room. Number 10. Everything happens for a reason. Yes, the philosophical version of shrugging and walking away. This phrase is often dropped like a spiritual mic in the middle of emotional chaos. You lost your job? Everything happens for a reason. Your relationship fell apart? The universe has a plan. You dropped a taco? Divine intervention. And look, finding meaning in hard things is a real coping skill. It's called meaning-making, and it's actually super powerful for healing. But that's not the same as implying that some cosmic force intended for you to suffer so you could learn a character-building lesson. Because what this advice really does is minimize pain. It skips over the part where you're allowed to grieve, rage, or ugly cry into your laundry. It turns trauma into a plot twist instead of something that deserves compassion. It also puts pressure on people to find meaning instantly. Like you're supposed to be grateful for your heartbreak because it taught you strength. No, maybe it just sucked. Maybe it was unfair. Maybe the only lesson is that some things just hurt. And that's okay. You can believe in growth without believing that everything was supposed to happen. Sometimes stuff is random. Sometimes people are cruel. Sometimes the lesson is just that you survived and you didn't have to turn it into a TED Talk. So the next time someone hits you with the everything happens for a reason line, feel free to respond with cool. What's the reason for you saying that right now? Watch them glitch. Number 11. Mind over matter. This is the battle cry of motivational posters and gym bros everywhere. Mind over matter. Just willpower your way out of anxiety, trauma, and probably lupus if you try hard enough. It's the psychological equivalent of duct taping your emotions to a pull-up bar. Here's the deal, your brain is powerful, yes, but it's not a magic wand. You can't just think your way out of depression or manifest your childhood trauma into a puff of sparkles. That's not how mental health works. That's how denial works. The mind over matter philosophy often turns into a full-blown shame machine. If you're struggling, clearly you're just not trying hard enough. If you can't snap out of a panic attack, you're weak. If therapy's not working fast enough, it's because your mind isn't doing its job. What it ignores is the fact that your body and brain are connected. Trauma isn't just in your thoughts, it lives in your nervous system. Anxiety isn't just bad thinking. It's a full-body fire drill. Depression isn't lazy vibes. It's a biological shutdown. And the real kicker? The more you fight your feelings with mental strength, the stronger those feelings get. That's because suppressing emotions activates stress systems. It's like trying to fight fire with motivational gasoline. True strength isn't about ignoring pain. It's about facing it with curiosity and compassion. It's mind with matter, not against it. So unless your mind has a PhD and a trauma-informed toolkit, maybe give it a break. Let your whole self show up. Weird thoughts, messy feelings, sweaty armpits and all. Number 12. Just be yourself. On paper, this advice looks wholesome, harmless, encouraging even. But in the real world, just be yourself is often the most unhelpful advice you can give to someone who's socially anxious, confused about their identity, or trying to survive their third awkward group dinner this week. Because newsflash, which self are we talking about here? The self who overthinks every text. The self who morphs into a people-pleasing chameleon during job interviews? Or the self who binge-watches crime documentaries while eating cereal out of a salad bowl? Just be yourself assumes that you know who you are, that you're proud of it, and that unleashing it upon the world will magically attract the right people, jobs, and life opportunities like some sort of cosmic LinkedIn match. But for a lot of people, yourself is still under construction. And in high-stakes or high-pressure situations, that advice can make you spiral faster than a cursed BuzzFeed quiz. Even worse, it puts the blame on you when things go wrong. Didn't get the job? You were too much yourself. Relationship failed? Maybe your true self just isn't that likable. Ouch. Real talk. Selfhood isn't a fixed point. It's not a crystal buried deep in your soul that you just need to discover. It's more like a playlist. It changes. It evolves. Some parts slap. Others you skip after 15 seconds. So instead of just be yourself, try be honest about where you're at. Be kind to the parts of you that are still figuring it out. And maybe skip the pressure to be some polished, perfectly authentic adult with a personal brand. No one's actually pulling that off, not even influencers named Kayla with houseplants and vision boards. Number 13. You attract what you are. The spiritual guilt trip disguised as empowerment. You attract what you are is basically the law of attraction with better Instagram filters. The idea is that your vibes, mindset, and energy are magnets, and if your life is a mess, well, guess who's messy too? This advice turns personal hardship into a moral failing. Struggling with toxic relationships? Must be because you're secretly toxic too. Broke and anxious? You're vibrating at a broke anxious frequency. Better fix that, or the universe will keep sending you overdue bills and emotionally unavailable men. Here's why that's dangerous. It erases context. It assumes that pain, trauma, or misfortune are your fault, because clearly you attracted it. And if you want better things, you just have to perform happiness until the universe believes you. In psychology, this creates what's called toxic positivity, the pressure to suppress anything negative so you don't attract more negativity. And the result? You end up ignoring red flags, bottling up pain, and staying in terrible situations because you're afraid to manifest wrong. Spoiler: people don't attract pain because they're broken. Bad things happen to good people. Abusers target everyone, not just people with low vibes. And systemic issues, like poverty, racism, mental illness, are not frequency-based problems. They're real. You don't attract what you are. You attract what you tolerate, what you understand, and what you accept as normal, usually based on your past. And none of that is fixed. Can all change, but not by faking vibes. So maybe stop blaming your energy for your ex being trash. That's not the universe. That's just Dave. And Dave sucks. Number 14. Happiness is a choice. Imagine telling someone with clinical depression that all they need to do is choose joy, like they're ordering off a mood menu. Happiness is a choice is one of those phrases that sounds empowering if your biggest emotional challenge is picking a brunch spot. But for people dealing with trauma, grief, anxiety, or a brain chemistry cocktail brewed by Satan, it's insulting. This advice implies that if you're not happy, you're doing something wrong. You're choosing sadness, choosing failure, choosing to wallow in darkness like some emotional gremlin who refuses to see the light. But here's the truth: happiness is a feeling, not a switch. It's influenced by genetics, environment, experiences, mental health, social support, the weather, your blood sugar, and whether or not you've been doom-scrolling for the last 72 minutes. Yes, there are choices that can support happiness, like getting sleep, practicing gratitude, seeing a therapist, or finally cutting off that friend who accidentally insults you every time they speak. But those are small steps, not instant upgrades. Telling someone to just choose happiness is like yelling "just grow taller" at someone who's short. It's annoying, unhelpful, and reveals that you've never actually faced real emotional struggle. A better mantra? Happiness is a practice. Something you build in small, consistent ways, sometimes while still feeling sad, sometimes while still in pain, sometimes while holding a pint of ice cream and muttering about the futility of existence. And that's okay. So no, happiness isn't always a choice, but compassion is. And if you want to help someone feel better, maybe start there. Number 15. Everything is mental. And we've made it to the final boss of oversimplified self-help. Everything is mental, the idea that all problems are just illusions of the mind, and if you fix your mindset, you fix your life. Broken relationships? Mental. Poverty? Mental. Global warming? You guessed it, probably just not thinking positively enough. This belief turns real-world issues into internal puzzles. And while yes, your mindset does affect how you experience things, it's not a magical get-out-of-suffering-free card. If everything is mental, that means physical illness? Your fault. Trauma? Just a thought pattern. Abuse? Well, maybe you just didn't align your chakras that day. Here's the reality. Humans are biopsychosocial creatures. That's a fancy word for everything affects everything. Your biology, your thoughts, your emotions, your relationships, your culture, your environment. It all matters. So no, not everything is just in your head. Some things are in your nervous system, in your community, in your generational trauma, in the economy, in your landlord's refusal to fix the heater. Telling people that everything is mental invalidates their reality. It isolates them. It makes them think that if they're still suffering, it's because they're not trying hard enough, or worse, they're choosing to suffer. The truth is, it's okay to need more than mindset. It's okay to need support, medication, therapy, community, sleep, boundaries, and a full-blown ugly cry. So maybe let's retire the whole "everything is mental" slogan and replace it with "everything is complex, and that's why you deserve compassion." That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.